For many years, Counter-Strike was known for its operations, and to many players, the missions, maps, and item drops made the game what it is. Now, since the launch of CS2, we've been waiting for that very first operation to return. They've been leaked for a while now, but with the introduction of the Armory Pass, many players assumed that this was the future of the game, and operations would become a thing of the past. Today, I wanted to deep dive into some of the leaks that have been flying around. Data miners have been hard at work, and the overwhelming rumor is that operations are finally returning in CS2. We're going to break down all the evidence, explain how the old operations work, the leaks in the game files, talk about when we could actually see the first big operation, and what kind of content that we should expect to see. But now the most important question, is the classic operation model going to work alongside the Armory Pass, or will the Armory integrate this new operation content? We're talking about it all today. If you guys could, before we get started, drop a like on this video, subscribe with your notifications turned on, and now let's deep dive into everything when it comes to operations and the future of CS2. So the main difference between the content cycle in CSGO during its operation era and the current state of CS2 could not be put any more on the main stage. Back when operations were active, the game received massive content drops. Each operation brought in new maps, often refreshing the competitive pool. They were the main vehicle for new game modes like Wingman, Danger Zone, and co-op missions. They altered how the players interacted with the game outside the traditional competitive format, and with that, it gave many players an entire ecosystem of content to grind through for months. Nowadays, CS2's content has felt largely stagnant since the full release of the game. Yeah, we've gotten some updates for sure. The Armory Pass has done an okay job at that, but many players were still missing the content cycle that we got with past operations. But I mean, now with CS2, the maps have been limited to a few official rotations. The primary focus has been on bug fixes, performance tweaks, and new collections through the Armory Pass, and this lack of content changes how the games feel. I mean, I see CSGO completely different than how we look at CS2 now. So this is for the players that don't remember how the operations worked back then. There is a huge portion of CS2 players that never got to play in the CSGO operations. So if you're a player that didn't get to experience the past operations, then you should stick around. If not, check the video chapters below to skip to another section. CSGO operations were in-game events functioning as a battle pass system. This shaped how the game's content and reward structure changed. At their core, operations were designed to introduce both the official and community created content, including new maps, exclusive weapon collections, and unique game modes like Wingman or retakes, which if many of you guys don't know, we just got the reintroduction of retakes, and also I guess you can trade up to a knife. But by purchasing the operation pass, it granted immediate access to the content and exclusive operation coin, which upgraded from bronze to silver, gold to diamond as the player progressed through the operation. This progression system provided a distinct achievement badge, motivating the player to fully engage with the event's challenges, ensuring that a portion of the pass's revenue directly supported the community map makers and skin creators featured in this operation. The main mechanics for the player engagement and progression was the mission system. Early operations often used the non-linear campaigns that granted the random item drops, while the later operations, starting with Operation Shattered Web, adopted a more refined star and battle pass system that we know today. This newer structure introduced the weekly mission cards with different objectives across all different game modes. By completing these missions, players earned stars, which served as the operations currency, very similar to how the Armory Pass system works now. The weekly star limit created a consistent, sustained grind throughout the event's duration. Also, not to mention, players could also purchase stars to speed up the process, which thankfully is something that the Armory Pass has not introduced yet. But the reward system for the later operations were tied to these earned stars, giving players choice over the items that they redeemed. Instead of relying on the random drops, players spent their stars in the operation shop to earn unlocked rewards. These rewards are now highly sought after, like the agent skins, stickers, patches, and of course the weapon skins. But once a player has completed the necessary missions to fully upgrade their coin and collected enough stars, they could continue earning or spending their stars on cases or collection drops. The old CSGO operations were really the system that brought us the battle pass system that we have today, like the Armory Pass. I just think the continuous cycle of fresh content and challenges that many people loved on the operations back then are what people want to see return. So now, if the old operations are coming back, how could these new operations work, and how could they tie into the Armory Pass? For me, there's no way that Valve introduces another operation if you have to buy the Armory Pass and then buy another operation pass. It just makes no sense. So one of the most intriguing questions surrounding the return of operations in CS2 is how they will work with the recently established Armory Pass system. So with the star system that we got with the previous operations and the redemption system, we already have that with the Armory Pass right now, and I don't think that the new operation pass will entirely replace the Armory, but I do think that it could become a more premium version built into the Armory. As of the making of this video, the leak suggests that buying the operation pass will unlock the operation journal with weekly missions, a direct callback to the CSGO system, but instead of earning the operation stars that are spent in these separate shops, shop, these missions may grant large amounts of Armory credits or another unique currency that is spent in a dedicated operation section that's within the Armory Pass. So think of it like having two different currencies of stars that are built into the Armory Pass. You'll have the operation stars and you'll have your normal Armory stars that we have now, and that could integrate the rewards that are through the Armory shop, but also introducing the operation stuff into the Armory Pass as well. Now there's also the paid and free track model of the operations I could see return. This would be really smart for Valve to bring in new players. The base free version will likely allow all players to participate in the new map rotations and play new game modes, but the purchase of an operation pass would be necessary to unlock the mission journal that grants you access to the missions each week and where the core value of the operation would lie. But the real meat of an operation, as always, will be the massive influx of content that changes the game's environment. Each operation historically has forced a new competitive map rotation, and we can assume that this will be the central feature of the new operations going forward. New maps, both by the community or Valve, could be added to the official competitive or premier pool, giving players new maps and environments to master. But beyond the maps, we could expect some return of some new game modes. We recently just got the reintroduction of retakes that made its way back into Counter-Strike, but we could also see some co-op missions, danger zone, wingman changes, and many other things that could be added to the operations in the future. But the rewards themselves, I truly think will be directly channeled through the existing Armory system, and by completing these missions and redeeming the operation currency, Armory stars, or whatever currency that's built into the Armory Pass, players will be able to acquire these new items that are unavailable without these credits. And what I think we could see in the new operations are possibly new agents, weapon collections, maybe a new case is added. We've got charms, stickers, patches, everything that we had in CSGO, just more, because you got to think of how much stuff that's been added in CS2 now. Oh yeah, and I can't forget about the leak when it comes to pets. That could also be something that's redeemable in the operation section. But by using the Armory Pass as the hub, I think Valve can simply just swap out the available limited time collections with each operation, and it's all built into one system that's already existing in the game. Think of it almost like you're opening up the Armory Pass, and then there's a section called Operation, and in that section that has all the operation items and the different currency that the player can redeem. So now let's touch on the actual leak themselves and break down everything that we know about this game journal leak and what Gabe Follower actually found that's in the game files. So he states that the new CS2 update mentions a new weird system called the game journal, and then as you can see on the screen right here, guys, there's three different screenshots. One is showcasing the add-on manager in the game journal itself. We've got another one that's breaking down the game journal pages, and another one that says that the game journal is active. But this is what the game journal might actually be. So based on the leak for what the game journal system could represent in CS2, it is probably a mission tracker system. The journal could be a logging and tracking feature where the player's activity, missions, and challenges or progress are stored on a unified UI. This might be the replacement that we saw in earlier operations. So hidden in the game file, CS2 might be reintroducing operations with the map bundles, timed missions, and reward systems. And under this game journal, this is what we will probably be using to track our progress. And this could also be a system that Valve could use to track the missions to make sure the missions have been completed, and the data logging, like for the backend system, tracking like the gameplay stats and matchmaking data that the player doesn't actually need to see, but it's so that Valve can confirm that the player has completed like the task or the mission. Most likely very similar to how the weekly mission works right now. But what I think, based on the leaks with the current CS2 ecosystem, we'll see a journal or an operation book, kind of like we've seen in the past, but maybe kind of a hybrid with the events and new missions and maps, skins, and items. Now, something that everyone wants to know is when we could actually see the return of operations in CS2. And if my speculation is right and the Armory Pass is going to be integrated with the new operations, then if we look, the Armory Pass is updated roughly every 6 months. I'd say between 4 to 6 months, the Armory Pass gets a pretty massive update. About a year ago in October, we got the introduction of the Armory Pass, and then the second update in April of 2024, and now the 1 year mark in October of 2025. So that timeline for the next big update is probably expected sometime in March of 2026 or April of 2026, which would line up perfectly for the operation system that could be introduced. And the game journal system could serve as the progression system for the hybrid style event, combining the Armory Pass rewards or star system with the existing pass that we have right now. But to wrap it up, I think the time to look for is going to be spring of 2026 to see if operations are actually going to be returning. That is, if we haven't already gotten something during Christmas or sometime after the major. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd be excited to see the return of operations. Do you think they'll tie into the Armory Pass? If you guys like this video and you found this video informative, please drop a like on the video, subscribe with your notifications turned on. Thank you you guys so much for 1,000 subs. Also, don't forget the new giveaway details will be in the pinned comments. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This has been Zach. I will catch you guys in the next one.